So take a few minutes, go to my profile here on Twitter or follow me on LinkedIn. So, yeah, I'm showing my face while I do this broadcast, which is going to be kind of different. So the first thing I wanted to point to, and then I want to go back to our speakers if that's okay, because you all have practical application of what we're going to cover today. But first, I want to introduce myself again and share this tab with y'all, like Zentaria. So over the last month, we have been talking to geniuses around the world to say, hey, do you want to join the Genius Room? Because we're activating around Web3, around NFT, and around your genius. And where we get started is right here in Zentaria's app. So you'll notice I am Yaeunda. I believe in Metaverse as a Service, and we're a network, the trusted network. So with that being said, as I go over to this main screen that I want to share with y'all today is oh my goodness, the deal room. So dealroom.net, I spent some time over here looking at it and going through the ultimate due diligence process. And so what's M&A? That's merger and acquisitions. You're like, yeah, wait a minute, what you talking about mergers and acquisitions? I'm just saying, always think through when you're entering into a business, when you're entering into a business, when you're entering into a relationship, it's kind of like a contractual business relationship. So with that, understand that maybe you want to merge with somebody, maybe you want to acquire something about that company. So understand, and that's how I was using this when I started doing the research for merger and acquisitions, kind of. Okay. And so, what is the due diligence process? And you'll see it right here on the screen. And you heard in Jesus' words, you heard a little bit in Mr. G's words, and many of our words, what is due diligence, and Hector's words, what is due diligence? And it's the process that allows buyers to fully understand target companies in merger and acquisition. So you're a buyer. And as a buyer, when you're buying an NFT, when you're getting into an NFT, that's what you are. So, what is that due diligence process? It allows you as a buyer to gain more insight into the company, into its people, how it operates. So, what is the process? You can look at a solid audit of the company, usually undertaken by the financial transactions. In Web3, I think we call that like tokenomics or something like that. And maybe there's some other things, right? It is. That's what it's called. In Web3, we're talking about the tokenomics, kind of understanding how it all operates. And usually, merger or acquisition, the aim of due diligence in a business is to ensure, taking regarding the company in question, you're informed about it. So this is what due diligence deal room has to say about due diligence and what it is and why it's so important. Go ahead, Jesus.
Thank you, Jonathan. I would also like to add that doing your own research when you're talking about business also falls in line with R&D, which is research and development, right? So, for example, Instagram came out with Threads. And in order for you to know how to use it properly, you first have to use it. So part of doing research is actually getting Threads and actually start using it, and it'll be trial and or success by errors, right? Because if you don't know how to use it, you don't know how to use it. But the only know how to use it is to actually use it, right? So doing your own research also falls in line with the research and development, whether it's through Twitter, whether it's through Instagram, whether it's through TikTok, through any other social media app that you're using. Part of doing the research actually using the system or the operating system or the software that you're trying to use.
Very good. Very good. I appreciate what you had to say there, Jesus. And I'm looking right here. I took you to another source. This is called diligent.com. So, the definition of due diligence, again, why organizations conduct due diligence, the three principles of due diligence. So, from that, I just we're unpacking it. I wanted to give you two different definitions, two different sources that you can go back to and do your own research. This is very high level. However, I want to get into your own experiences of it. So, the three principles in due diligence that you're looking at is identify and assess, prevent and mitigate, and account for, right? So when you identify, you're looking at, human rights impact, you're looking at all kinds of things when you're looking at projects. Who's a part of the project, and so many things. But I'm gonna get to our speakers because I want to hear your individual process of how you go about it. You want to look at organizations that act in good faith. When I started doing some research, I saw some human rights policies on projects. I'm like, what is this? Now, and some policies I didn't see. I'm like, wait a minute, this is different worlds depending upon where the company is and some other things. So organizations also need to maintain good accounts. So I need to understand not only what you're building, but how you're going to sustain what you're building, right? And so that breaks down those different types of due diligence. Look at all these types of due diligence, y'all, because it's not a one size fits all, but to Jesus's point, narrow it down. So you have a vendor due diligence, you have a third party due diligence, you have an enhanced due diligence. So technology due diligence, due diligence, supply chain due diligence, financial due diligence. Wow, this is like an exhaustive, not exhaustive list, regulatory due diligence and ESG due diligence. Woo wee! That's a lot of due diligence. Go ahead, Phantom.
Yeah, Yanda, and I think that basically the due diligence is the amount of research that you have to put in, right? So it's about like you can get started and maybe you get this pride of success because maybe there is something intrinsic in your solution. But it's definitely about doing your due diligence of research, right? And at the end of the day, all of these different topics that you're showing, from vendor, third party, it's just different facets of our supply chain or our everyday life where we have to do due diligence. So this is like the maybe technological due diligences, but of course we have to also be aware of more due diligence where we have to do actual research beyond this website and actually do our due diligence.
Absolutely. And we have to activate from the information, right, Phantom? And so, how do you conduct that due diligence? So, before I get into what they say, I want to hear from you all and how you all conduct your due diligence. So, I want to take a few minutes and head over to Yomi. Yomi, what's your thoughts? How do you conduct your due diligence?
In comparison to what you just showed, my due diligence, I guess you could say minimal. I do it from, I'm going to say a personal level, and I use diligence that I pick up from, first and foremost. I've done Google, I've done LinkedIn, and it could be, for me, I get myself attached to the person. So if I find out, if I don't know what the business that the person has, I'll look up the person. So when I look at this person, if they said they had a business or they do this, that, and the third, I'll look to see if the information that they provided me with, I find that in my research. If I find, if they say they're an accountant, so I should see that you're a licensed accountant. That's something too. I want to see if you have the credentials that you shared. I want to know if how long have you been an accountant? How long have you done the skill set that you're talking about that you have shared in here? So it's things like that. I try to look at what's going on with the person, and then if they're attached to the business, then I try to see what that business is about. Maybe it's a different swim lane than what they suggested that they do. And then I said, well, maybe they work for this company. Maybe they are providing a service for this company. So my research is, looking at the person because I may not necessarily know the company. And usually that's what my research has, me looking into the skill set and the professional side of the person.
That's fantastic, Yomi. That's fantastic. At least you have a process, right? And everybody take note. Hector?
Yeah, I think at least for me, it really just depends on your investment style, right? For example, if you're looking into a project, are you looking at it to be in it for the long run, right? Or are you looking to make maybe like a swing trade where you're just in that token for a couple days, right? So a lot of it just depends on that. For me, it really comes down to the tech. Um, what is it that what exactly are you bringing into the market? How important is your tech to, for example, the ecosystem? Are you innovating? Do you have a proven team, right? There's a lot of different things that factor into that, right? For me, it's just really, at least from the project that I look for, is really the tech. Really, for example, what is it? What problem are you solving? For example, Polygon being a great example of them creating a solution to an existing problem, which was under Ethereum, right? Ethereum's problem was the gas fees. It was the speed of the transactions. So Polygon, was created to address those issues. If you were to had caught Polygon when it first came out, you'd be well off right now, right? Just by making that investment. So a lot of for me, it just depends on what exactly is that tech doing, what problem is solving, and also my approach. Do I want to stay in it for the long run, or am I looking to just make quick buck? So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different approaches to this, and no, there is no one right way. It really just depends on your own, style, right? Well, how comfortable do you feel? If you're in a coin for the long run, then brace yourself because it's going to be a wild ride, right? I mean, it goes up, it goes down, it's trades sideways. You might not get any action for a year or two, and then all of a sudden, 10x, 50x, right? So it's just the nature of this market, right? It's really unpredictable, and you never really know. But the things that I like to do is just really pin down on what exactly the tech is and what problems to solve.
Ooh. You just dropped some gems for people to help them understand, and you introduce risk. You said risk. And I was like, ooh, did he hit that one? Like, how risky are you? Like, okay, here in the United States, you can gamble, you can play the lottery, right? So the lottery gives you a one in, I guess, a 8 billion chance at winning a lottery, and people win, and you're 1 in a billion or 2 billion or 3 billion. It's the lottery. My risk for the lottery is zero. I have zero risk for the lottery. I can tell y'all that right now because I look at appreciating assets and depreciating assets. That's my mindset. So again, my risk for that. Now, some people say, Yaeunda, it's risky when you are doing real estate. I'm like, really? Okay. My risk is I'm in it for the long haul. So my risk is understanding what I don't know. My risk is to trust and to engage in partnership with others that understand that wheelhouse, right? So that's the risk. Wow. And this is interesting. And I hope y'all can hear me, but interesting. My phone just completely died. So at least I have this, or at least maybe y'all hear me talking on here, but this is getting interesting. Oh, you gotta love AI. So I'm going to try and mute my phone or screen or reset. So sorry, y'all, but I can't see my phone anymore. So interesting. AI, gotta love it. So if y'all can hear me, I am here and my phone just went blank. So the screen is just interesting. I will try and shut my phone off and reset it so I can see y'all. That might not happen for now. So I am just going to continue to stream here and probably the space will rug because I don't know what happened to my phone, literally. These updates and stuff like that. So we'll just see, but it completely shut off. So I am here and we will see. If the room rugs, then I'll restart it. But other than that, I'm just carrying on. So we were talking about that risk management a little bit. And here you can assess the risk. Yeah, my phone completely died, y'all. Completely died. Report on due diligence, monitor and mitigate that risk. So we were just talking about the lottery as an example of the risk, but you have to know, and there are risk assessment tools out there that can assist you in knowing what your risk is, right? So I always tell people, don't gamble with money that you just don't have, flat out. Don't do that. So we're going to see how fast. So my phone actually did a restart. So I don't know if AI said, no, I want you to update right now, or what the situation was. But I hopefully will be coming back to join you all in the space. So going through here, I thought again, this is diligent.com. And why reinvent the wheel? This is their expertise. This is their wheelhouse. So why not support what they got going on? So let's see, because this is just interesting. Oh, maybe. Oh, I can get back in. This is going to be interesting. Wow. I cannot believe I just was able to go through that.
So I don't know how that is essentially is working, but yeah. Okay, got back access to the screen.
I
Can
did.
you hear us?
I can hear y'all. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Oh my goodness, the phone completely shut down. I was like, here go these AIs. I'm glad I'm friends with these AIs in the middle of it. So thank y'all for bearing with me, y'all. I was just talking, still talking. So good conversation. Thanks so much. So I know we were going through and we were finding out due diligence. And I know Hector just nailed it. And we were talking about risk management. I did some of that on the screen still. But I wanted to go over to Mr. G and get Mr. G. So I know, Phantom, you had your hands up. Mr. G, how do you conduct like your due diligence, and what's some alpha you would leave the people with?
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to step down. I'm having a tough time hearing everybody. Sorry about that. So then if I just can step in, Yaeunda, I will just add that, I kind of think of the world in terms of a lot of risk management. I guess as aerospace engineers, we get exposure to a lot of complex problems, and our brain inevitably starts calculating what is the chance, right? So when you say lottery and high probabilities, I definitely say that, I look at the world in possibilities and probabilities. And I have to keep compounding my effort to make the possibility more probable over time, right? So I have to work towards manifesting it by acting on it. So what I definitely believe is that we have a sense of risk intrinsically, but there is also a sense of anxiety or uncertainty that we have to channel as humans. And some of it is definitely like we have to figure out what that anxiety is teaching us in some way, right? Like it's informing us of some problem that we are perceiving, but it's like, okay, now where is that actually, it's like debugging. Like you have to find the source of that anxiety within the problem, and then you're like, oh, if I can manage here, and mitigate these risks, now effectively I have solved the complexity of the problem, and I have a better handle on the research and on the innovation of the problem. So that is how I see doing the due diligence helping me innovate and figure out the problems of tomorrow and sort of create that innovative solution that will help me enable a solution, and hopefully people will come to me and like me to solve their problems as well.
I love it. And you said something that's kind of from a critical thinking standpoint. Think about it, unpack it. Sometimes your feelings, your emotions, how you feel about something comes into play, right? Intrinsically. And so that leads me over to kind of talking through social engineering, right? And from a social engineering standpoint, how do you maintain safety? Because I feel from a social engineer, when I'm connecting with PFPs and with individuals behind the PFPs, I get it, right? But how do you stay safe with your emotions and your feelings? Go ahead, Fanta.
Yeah, yeah. So the basic thing that I have recognized is that I have to control what I feed the algorithm, right? The algorithm is sort of farming me. So I have to be careful in what I put out online. Because I think as a person who started out on Web 1, I blatantly and openly searched, and I never cared about the data I gave away, and I fed a lot of cookies to many websites. So as Web3 comes with this whole new perspective, my whole question is, what is the web data that these guys want? Because this is more complicated website, more complicated permissions. So I definitely want that sort of awareness about what I'm buying into, for sure, as a product. And at the end of the day, I feel like I don't want to end up in the wrong side of things. Like that's what I feel like due diligence helps me. Like I think that two-factor authentication of anything, that okay, this is good, and someone else is also like, okay, yeah, this is good, But the thing is, if you're the first person to be solving the problem, you decide what is good. And that is the power you get. When you necessarily solve the problem, you say that this evil has to be overturned to good to facilitate a solution in this context. And that becomes the powerful thing. But at the same time, that necessity gets channeled into desire in a society that thrives. So I feel that AI is a product of very excess, right? We have so much excess of technology that they're creating this new whole way of processing nature and creating technology. So definitely that is going to redefine how we look at ourselves. So we are social engineering ourselves, like we are programming ourselves. So in that sense, I feel like we have to do our due diligence on ourselves, because we have to inform ourselves to the internet, and the internet will inform our perception of the self to the internet. So that is the problem. There is a client side, and then there is a server side perception, right? So that always exists, and we have to be cognizant of that. Whatever you think you're putting out online is only you knowing everything that you know. But when you put it out of context and just give a small packet information, now the world is asking, is this what you truly believe? Why do you believe it? What channels this particular belief? And that, has been the question. Do you know, what forms this self-beliefs? I don't know. Some of my beliefs I'm still learning about, So when the world asks me these questions, I get to learn.
Self-fulfilling prophecies, right? And when you said it, I was like, oh yeah, absolutely, the self-fulfilling prophecy. I appreciate you sharing with us, the perspective, and you being the originator. Where does it start, right? So you actually are the solution, because you're going to add value based on your own due diligence, based on what's inside. So when you started talking, I was like, you talking about the smell test. How does it smell? Like, so I started to tap into my emotions, right? And from a social engineering, something just don't smell right. Something just don't feel right. I don't know if those my spidey senses, my tingling, but really that the risk. How do you tap into, when you're doing your own research, that innermost self that's kind of saying to you, really, is this okay? Is it not okay? Here, you might want to go down this lane. How are you listening while you're doing, if that makes sense, Hector? Are you doing your due diligence? Like sometimes sometimes I want it so bad that sometimes can I see something that maybe wasn't there? How did I get in that situation? Wait a minute. Let me slow down and get some perspective on my own smell check, right? And my own due diligence because I want it so bad. Go ahead, Phantom.
Yeah, Yonda. And yesterday I actually found the answer to that, right? And someone was talking about project management. And then we were saying that, okay, the project manager is essentially projecting his subjectivity, right? It is you projecting this redefinition of reality, and then you have to now make the project happen, right? So as a researcher, we do this thing called like objective value definitions, right? So for digitization, because we speak in the language of mathematics, we have to objectively add the kind of data, you know? And the thing is, the objective we add is actually a subjective opinion, right? Each human for that concept is adding a different mathematical data point. And now this big data guys are like, hey, this person put 10 for this person put 7 for this, and now they are finding the normal. So they are doing the sentiment analysis of us as a group, right? So the thing that we are not understanding is we are unwittingly giving them our sentiment analysis. So they can actually capture the customer sentiment strongly. And that's how the market research has gotten so strong that, you know, Microsoft, Google and everything have become such planned ecosystems, right? Apple. So definitely the main thing that I will say is yesterday someone told me, like, figure out the purpose of the problem you solve. And the main thing is the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Figure out what human problem you're solving, right? And fundamentally, the more necessary your problem, you're fundamentally redefining the system on a more core level for humanity. And that can be powerful, I believe, you know?
Ooh! Did y'all hear him? I know y'all heard him. Maslow hierarchy of needs. Oh my goodness. So I'm just gonna listen when you here we go now. Genius is in the house. Here we go. I gotta show y'all some of this in a visual. So boom. Let me go ahead and share this tab with y'all real quick. And y'all just pick one because we said is very, very important. Geniuses in the room, right? So overall, as geniuses, we get it. And this hierarchy of need. And this example, this pyramid, really quick here. So first, the foundation. So when you look at it, it's in a pyramid, right? And I'm not going to teach from it. I'm just going to speak to the different levels. That's all. So you have the physiological, you have the safety, you have the belonging, you have the esteem, and you have the self actualization. So, and I'm just going to ask this, right? From where we are now, and this is critical, right? Is it still in the same order? Who knows, right? But these are the 5 stages in Maslow hierarchy of need, right? And so then there's some breakdown into nature versus nurture, and we can start talking. But I'm not teaching on that as much as I'm teaching about the social engineering pieces, and we're talking through it, the safety portion of it, how you're able to conduct your due diligence, and then and now we've prescribed to dependent upon your theory. So depending upon how you feel about something, right? What you know about some things, I think that's what I heard anyway. I'm not quite sure. Yomi, what's your thoughts on some of this?
Yes, I was kind of going crazy in the back because he touched on, that emotional part of being, the subjective versus the objective. And when he touched on the project management, because for me, I'm that person, I'm that people person. I get attracted to projects or businesses by the persons that are involved with that. So my first impression comes from that connection, that interaction. And he was that part when he said that they basically, at least this is how I understood it, how I interpreted it, they basically can set the tone and paint something to look like, something that they want to look. They want it to look like. They can paint that potential. They can make it look like and make it seem like this is where it's going. because as a project manager, I'm sure they would want you to be successful, right? So what they give you is gonna be the potential of it. So that's the thing for me. The thing for me is that interaction and that connection that I have with the people that are involved. So my due diligence had to take a little turn of, okay, you got to look at the fact of, can you trust? Because when I first came in here, that may not have been, I was still going off my regular, person interaction type thing. To me, due diligence, can I trust? And if I can't understand it, or if I, come and step out and say, hey, can you explain this to me? Can you explain that to me? Because I'm not getting it. Sometimes I'm a bit worried about that, because if I'm coming out to you and I'm being vulnerable and I'm stating and showing you that I'm not fully aware, I'm not, I try to figure out what's going on. Can they provide me with a breakdown of this company, a breakdown of this project, for someone who's just coming in and trying to be interested? Because the first interaction we get is usually right here in Spaces. This interaction we get is a PFP and a voice. And that's how we're introduced to the project, to the company, and then we have to go and look at, go into your profile, see what's going on your page, look at your links, try to see, what it is that you've done. So with all of that being said, people say, well, we go look at your profile, your PFP. Well, that's it. That's what I've done in Web3. And if you wanted to go check me out. You can go look at my LinkedIn, because I'm there too. But it's, so I basically put out what I've done, and I'm open to that. But I always have in the back of my mind, okay, so anybody can create this, right? Anybody can design this and make it look like something. So when he touched on that project manager and the creators of these projects and these businesses that we're looking into, I'm always skeptical. So if I can't find something in my due diligence, and if I can't get a question answered, to just make me feel a little bit stable, then nah, that's okay.
Okay. All right. Hold on, Phantom. I'm going to head over to Hector because I want to hear Hector's thought for a second. Like, Hector, like Yomi just dropped some nuggets. Like, you darn right. It's trust. And we've been talking about a little bit. Phantom did a great job of introducing on the screen, just so y'all know, I'm streaming live. So if you go into my Twitter profile, and also if you look at YouTube, right, I'm there streaming live as well. He introduced Maslow hierarchy of needs. So I'm streaming it and I'm actually showing it on the screen. And I did it a little differently. So now I've changed this one because this breaks down Maslow hierarchy of needs in the workplace. And this is one person's perspective, but this is a way to really unpack and break down what you're building. You all see in Web3, it's going to be more remote. So how are you going to touch the people, right? So I know we're talking about do your own research and your own due diligence. And what does that look like? So with that Maslow hierarchy of needs, Hector, coming to you, we have these. So we have the physiological needs. We have the safety needs. We have the social needs, the esteem needs, and self-actualization. So not even from this, but what do you feel about all this so far in your own due diligence?
No, phenomenal. This is really the first time I've seen such a graph, and just observing it, it actually helps provide a foundation of how do you go about doing your research, right? What exactly are you looking for when you're doing your research? Because there's a lot of things that factor in, right? It's I made a reference to the tech, right? But it's not just the tech, right? About the team is about what is this company built on, the foundation, their values, their ultimate end game, right? There's so many things to factor in whenever you are considering a particular project. But I love this. This is actually wow. Phantom, that's awesome. I think this is a great tool that I think everyone should look at, right? When they are doing their own due diligence. Web3 Web3 is no different than any business, right? You're running a business, right? And the same criteria that you would, look at, for example, a Web2 company or Web1 company should apply to Web3, right? And how you're doing your own due diligence. So just having something like this helps you kind of cut through the noise and gives you a easier way to kind of understand and approach a lot of these different projects that you're coming across. And also as a project owner, project founder, you look at this graph and you're like, okay, how do I tackle each one, right? What is, right? You'll be surprised how many businesses don't have a mission statement, right? They don't have a ultimate goal, right? They just, okay, let's, I'm doing this and I'm going to make some money, but what else are you doing, right? What's your 5-year projection, 10-year projection? Are you building your business in order to sell it? Are you building your business in order to, pass it down to your family, right? There's a lot of different ways to approach business. So you have to make sure that you're doing your due diligence. But this is awesome. I actually just looking at this and really kind of, I think you should just keep it on your phone whenever you're doing your own due diligence, so you'll know exactly what kind of things you want to look for. That's awesome.
Thank you for your feedback, because this is important, especially to NFT projects and companies abroad. Like, look at this, because this is going to drive engagement. This is really, in my personal opinion, my HR person ain't here, so I can say this, right? Right. And I can say that, right, because she's not here. She would normally say it, is that this is going to determine your attrition, your turnover, right? And turnover has a cost to your business, okay? Especially as we're going into the Web3. So doing your own research, understanding you want to build companies, you want to build around this, a little bit on this model. How are you going to engage your internal customers? Thought. Go ahead, Phantom.
Yeah, Yaeunda. And what I definitely just realized as we spoke about this is the kind of topics that they have categorized with the Maslow's hierarchy, which different people have categorized differently, right? So now it's about that, right? Like how each of us subjectively look at the needs differently, right? But at the end of the day, I feel like the peak of that self-actualization is ultimately defines the cultural standards, right? The most self-actualized people are effectively the model icons of humanity. And basically, they have this freedom that we all aspire to. Like, how can they just be themselves and we all love them so much? Like, it's so weird. But then they have developed that, by being successful at something, they have developed that persona of success, and perception is somewhat everything. Maybe there are real things that they are not, sharing as well, but we only see them as the celebrities that they are. And sometimes we fail to acknowledge their humanness, right? So I feel like, we kind of had this whole thing of paparazzi celebrity, right? And I was like, oh yeah, like that was happening. And today somehow people don't realize that effectively we are paparazing all of each other, right? Like I want to take a video and I'm paparazing half of the world behind me, around me, and I don't care, right? But I think we should, because, it is going to be a very important thing of what information we give out, and some people might not be liking, all of that. So these kind of new definitions of ownership and liabilities of digital transformation are going to be interesting, because what we say risk, right, is about what humanity decides is risky behavior, right? And ultimately we get this sort of fear-driven behavior, and it's about how we react to that as humanity, So that ultimately, I think, decides all of this. And we have to research how to manage our, we say existential risk, but in the probabilities are less, right? Like, it's just like it's a possibility. Yes, it's good that you identified such a possibility, right? You, from the abstract, you have identified the problem and you probably have a solution. but then do we really need to actualize towards it, or do we just serve the larger humanity here? And that becomes a very important question. So yeah, I'll just stop here.
All great perspectives on it. And so I just shifted to another screen. To your point, you can break down the pyramid. You introduced it, Phantom, right? You can break down the hierarchy of needs. But, and again, I'm breaking and I'm pointing y'all, I'm pointing you. If you don't take anything from me, this year in 2023 is ISO 222, and it's also have a strategy for your internal customers and your external customers, right? So if you are an internal customer, that means that you're going to work with a team, right? You're going to be a part of a team. Do you understand your five elements, what you need from that team? Because it's reciprocity, I feel like, in this age when it's Web3. And again, I told you, I feel like, right? I feel like there is a 360 that can take place, but you have to understand those rules of engagement. Hi, Grandpapa, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I didn't realize my mic was on. Interesting topic. From when my children were young, many years ago, like my oldest, who's just over 40, when my kids were children, I made sure that they understood Maslow's hierarchy of needs and wants. And more on a basic level, as in, before you buy anything, before you sort of do anything, as a principle guiding, do you need that packet of lollies or do you want it? You know, and look at spending and saving and go, oh, most things I want to spend my money on, it's I want it, I don't need it. You know, and I think putting that perspective against all different things we do is a great thing to do. Especially, you know, and it's not a bad check for all of us. When we're at the supermarket, we pick up that bag of biscuits and we go, my budget's not the best. Do I need these or do I just want them? Do I want them because I can't afford them? You know, how much money would I save if I just paid for the things that I need instead of buying everything that I feel that I should have or I want? And I think that's a great perspective when you look at a project as well. You know, what do I get out of the project? What does the project need from me? Is it profitable for them? Is it profitable for me? And I think across the board you can add Maslow to principles of Maslow's to many things and go, you know, in life, do we need this? I always take it back a little bit further with projects, and before I even dive in deep, I check to see if their, you know, domain is legit and spelled correctly, and that their graphics aren't copies. Their graphics are high quality. I mean, that's a dead giveaway. A lot of them, like, you know, just take the odd JPEG and take a picture of it. They don't even have really high quality imagery on their website, and yeah, lots of little things like that. Or they don't actually have their website built yet, or they don't have anything and they're already asking for money. You know, so due diligence is a great subject, and I love the fact that you've got those diagrams, and you can put it into perspective to nearly anything that you do. You know, we go to build something at home. You know, do we need to go buy new material? Do we have stuff that we can use? It's all about perspective and understanding and wasting and not waiting anything. And I think another great perspective, if anybody's read it used to be nearly compulsory reading at university, is from the 1970s. What's still one of my favourite books today for perspective is Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. It's still such a phenomenal book, and it puts so many things into perspective. And it's really a journey about a father and a son and going for a motorbike ride and touring and talking and stuff. But it puts things into so much better perspective out there. And again, it's a book that I really encouraged my children to read as they got older, and it's actually something that I read to them as well. And again, that helps with perspective, and sometimes we need I need from them as a starting point for me to be involved, I think is really good, and it should open up, as Stasia was saying, it then comes down to perspective. My needs might be different than yours, but there needs to be a start point in projects that people have to build their questions around or to get them moving forward in the first place. I'll leave it on that.
Oscar, you nailed it. It's so important. And so right now, we hear the bear market, but I don't know about y'all, but I feel the bull. And so it's so important, the safety. I love what you said about you all. In the past, he's used this with his children to start that foundation and teaching them the values along the way. And they can decide, but you first, it's some self-inventory stuff that you might want to look at and do first. And then from that, you say, already know my radar stuff. This project aligns to my values and my core and my mission. This is, oh, wait a minute, wait a minute, this doesn't feel right here. Hey, let me go on the back channel. Can y'all check this project out a little bit? Because they're saying this, but I really want to look at this security layer. See, I didn't jump up already because I'm like, okay, let me look at this. But that's how I analyze some of that, right? And we can continue to unpack that. Hold on for a second, Phantom. I'm going to go over to BD for a second. BD, how are you, my friend?
Good morning. Good morning. How's everyone doing today?
Doing good. I call you BD, but it's B dot. But go ahead.
Checking in today as a student. I found a few other people in the crypto sphere where this is also their morning regimen, so feel right at home. But I just a couple little updates I just wanted to share real quick about what I've been working on for the last few weeks. As you may have already know, some of you know I've been creating art for various different communities that I support, various different crypto communities, Web3 projects. I feel that my mastery of AI art, for example, allows for me to create art for communities at a pretty quick rate comparison to the traditional manners. I myself am a natural artist, painting 3D artist, 2D artist, and such. I'm a co-owner of an anime studio. But I know that traditional process would be beneficial cost-wise for a lot of companies and a lot of startups.
see my reactions when I like, okay, this is so good, BD. I just want you to know, like sitting here, I'm saying to myself, now, here we go. We're talking about CBDC, centralized banks. I know y'all like, wait a minute, we was just talking about do your own research. He just walked y'all through step by step why it's so important, because what it's going to lead you to is understanding why decentralization is important. Y'all, and he's headed there. He's headed there, right? But I want y'all to understand, he laid the land. These central banks ain't giving up the power. He done already told you, guess what? They ain't trying to get that power up. So guess what? Cryptocurrency got a head start. Chicka, 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 choo, choo. Cryptocurrency left it. Now, guess what? The only way that crypto don't keep that momentum is people don't educate themselves. They don't understand the role of decentralization, because decentralized finance, y'all heard Mr. G, y'all heard him earlier talk, like we were talking about when you go to the grocery store, y'all. Let me understand. So say for instance, you suffer from hypertension and all of a sudden you're looking at this nice piece of meat, right? And I'm just saying, sorry y'all for that, don't eat meat, okay? But you're looking at this nice piece of meat and all of a sudden you're like, I need to get that. I go to the register. It's like, no, you can't do that. Your last medical physical said that your blood pressure was elevated. So we just looked at your registry over the last 30 days and you've been buying this too much. And this actually contributes to this. So denied. What? Wait a minute. Since when can I not allocate my funds to buy what I want at the grocery store? Since it was centralized, since they understand the cause and effect of certain things. I know. Is that the possibility? Yeah, there is a possibility. What do you need all that money for? So understand. I used to tell people, do you understand really your relationship with money? Do you really understand money? Okay. So at the end, BD, I'm sorry. I didn't even mean to interrupt you like that. I just had to hold up. You just told everybody, pay attention.
You're fine. You're fine. I just say that to say that when opportunity sometimes knocks at your door, sometimes it's those 5 P's that have you ready to go to war, and proper preparation prevents poor performance. So for the last 6 years, I've been building a number of projects, but one of my main projects is my app store, my basically decentralizing the ownership of mobile technology, and that's Web3, Web2 technology. My other business is my music company, Music. I started working back in 2014 after my actual OG from the streets was signed to Black Wall Street, which is a music label that was owned by The Game, who was under a 50 Cent's label at the time. And they started playing around with his contract, and basically his contract never arrived. It didn't arrive on time. My OG had taken out some loans to pay for studio time to try to finish up his album on his own. When that contract didn't arrive, some people started making some threats about the money that he owed them. They handcuffed him to a toilet, robbed him, beat him up, left him there for a couple of days, and then once people found him, whatever, he was just so fucked up mentally. How much money he still owed people and everything. And he started looking at suicide as being his only option. And eventually he took his life. And I started wanting to figure out a way to decentralize musicians, reduce their reliance on contracts that were dumb contracts. I always said this, excuse my language on this. I always said, once niggas find out about smart contracts, they'll never sign dumb contracts again. And it's real because oftentimes, even contracts, we don't know the legal system to how to, like, when people fuck us over on contracts, we don't know how to go pursue them in the best way possible, where it does end up costing us an arm and a leg to try to pursue them. But with smart contracts, this shit's automated, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's put into the contract from day one before it's deployed is going to what's triggered each and every time that smart contract comes into play. So for me right now, I know the coin wars have begun. You see all the derivative coins that are out in space right now, doing crazy numbers. Meanwhile, Bitcoin and Ethereum kind of just going sideways. So for me right now, I recognize that this is the next wealth building time period we're having. So for me, I look at it this way. Most people, most minorities, they are reactive to investments. They trade based on the news they hear in the news, which is oftentimes late. They're trading when people are exiting the market. They are becoming extra liquidity for some whales. So for me, it's like, well, shoot, if I can get into the ground level, go and show that I can provide utility to even the shittiest of meme coins, which embarrass all those quote blue chip coins and NFT projects that are taking years to deliver. if I'm able to pull up within 2 months and deliver utility to multiple meme coins, and it proves a point, as in a sense of performance art for me, that all these other people have been just taking your money, lying to you, and giving you hopium. But more than that, it allows for me now to empower people, on a large scale. Why? Because the technology that was originally contributing to the Web2 community was a music streaming platform that's token gated, an NFT marketplace that allows for people to pay for NFTs with 5 different, with some Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, Phantom, Polygon, and Arbitrum. So 5 different blockchains that it supports, or chains that it supports. So basically creating a diverse NFT marketplace that allows for people from various different, chains and various different holdings to be able to deploy NFT collections, to be able to deploy their own crowdfunding campaigns for, let's say they have a project they want to start, they need a certain amount of funds for. We vet out the people who participate on our platform. I'm someone who's pushing for a KYF movement, not instead of know your customer, know your founder. I believe that there needs to be some type of self-regulation within this industry to make sure that we're only onboarding people who have the best intentions for the space.
And B-Dot, can I ask this? So what you're dropping nuggets again, like all gems. And what you're talking about is like I get it. Like I'm like, whoo, my goodness, geniuses around the world. The man is smart.
Let me sum it up for you.
Well, hold on. Look, because you did your due diligence. Listen, I'm not even qualified to really be like, because you've been out here. I'm not a developer. I'm a non-techie tech. So to the non-techie techs, what I'm saying is, right, pay attention. What he's talking about is technology is moving, and it's moving at the speed of light. And some genres are a little slower to catch on than other genres are catching on. So come hell or high water, you may be seeing something in the news, but what's in actuality taking place behind the scenes, CBDC has been trading for a while. ISO 222, that language. And now you're able to see what banks are opting in. Did your bank opt in? So I'm just asking from a compliance, are they on the digital transformation? Okay. So real conversation taking place. So he's saying due diligence. He's saying the platform for safety. He's saying security. He's saying all these things. And I did want to note that Phantom said that too. Earlier, he talked about, well, part of this is having some type of security level. I think he said 2A, but also multiple authenticator, right? Multi-authenticator to keep you safe out there. Y'all like, what is, y'all, when y'all opting into these projects, when y'all opting into these companies, when y'all opting into these sites, y'all got to read what y'all opting into. Go ahead, BD. Finish up.
So essentially over the last couple of months, I've been learning the crypto Twitter space, learning what people have been facing as far as difficulties, understanding what education was lacking. Because I could have come back into the space and like, here's what I think you need, here's an educational course I think you need. But instead I was like, let me just go into the trenches and learn firsthand the deficiencies that exist within these different communities. That way I can create customized educational programs for specific communities. Certain communities are of different age groups, so you have people with different investment ideologies. Where if you try to talk about degen and investing in shit coins and whatever, to some of the older demographic, they're gonna look at that like, I would rather go throw my money to some homeless people, which they should do in many cases. At least you know for a fact, and when you're giving money to homeless people, it's at least one or two things. It's either going to feed them or it's going to allow them to indulge in a vice of theirs. But let's just be real about it. But like when you invest into shit coins and that don't have like liquidity lock and things like that, you literally just will potentially just throwing your money away. And there's no one for you to pursue. There's nobody to go to the bank and be like, oh, I lost my money, I need a refund, or whatever. So it's just like, I'm trying to educate people and coach people up in a way that is going to be sustainable. So for me, the platform that I'm releasing, it has a built-in educational platform, but it's gamified. So for every course that someone completes, it offers them a little bit of a virtual currency, and that virtual currency can be used in the platform to buy things like a few other courses, services. For example, if you need smart contract auditing services and you've completed a certain number of courses within our platform, you're not going to have to come out of pocket in order to have a smart contract audited, you know. But if you want to have a smart contract, for example, deployed, you're not going to have to figure out how to do that yourself or go to some dev online who may build a contract for you that allows them to do some some messed up stuff on the back end.
Oh my goodness, BD. You said I do the due diligence for you. Is that what you said? Is that what you said?
Yes, ma'am.
If I had a horn, I need some sound effects. Like, y'all should see me on the video. I'm blowing my own horn. Because it's just it's fire.
I seek to be what it is of a hybrid VC for the Web3 space, not just offering people, restake capital. Because the thing is, I operate less on a capital basis now more than I ever did before. Because for me, I used to get so hooked on capital, having cash on hand, cash on hand, cash on hand, and oftentimes that cash would have the prisoner. I wouldn't want to do anything with that cash. So now, anytime I do get profits, I'll automatically immediately reinvest into acquiring new technologies, redeploying other technologies with different brands on them. I try to make sure at all times I have assets in motion, because when the situations happen, for example, where a community pops up on me, they're like, hey, we were only able to raise 20 ETH, but we were originally going to cost us 40 ETH to build our technology. Are you able to help us at all? And I'm like, oh, actually, yeah. Whatever it was that you were trying to build, I'm able to actually, let's say, for example, the music streaming situation, right? The token-gated music streaming platform with a built-in NFT marketplace allowing for songs to be minted on the blockchain, purchased on the same platform. Something like that would probably cost them, let's say, 50 to 75 grand if they are working with someone in the space that is just a builder. That's what they're right cost to have that person's attention for 3 to 4 months. But through my program, through my platform, I'm able to get them set up within 7 days for maybe 25 to 30% of that.
We all got our own platform, so you got to add to the community, right? So are you? Well, I got what you're saying. I think was you built it for the community.
The other piece of technologies I'm able to offer is a token-gated social network, and that's the platform that has the gamified educational platform in it. Because what I realize is, while Twitter is a great place for us to connect, it can also be a very toxic place for communities. You never really know who's actually truly part of a community, because people can just change their PFP and you think they're one of you, and they can actually be spying on your conversations, your Twitter spaces, extracting information to be used against you. So there's certain people that have found that their voices were actually used to create artificial intelligence clone voices of their voices and to promote other projects. So there's a lot of people that are at risk right now just by divulging so much information on Twitter. And Elon's not really protecting the individuals. He has the opportunity to with the affiliate badges. So, for example, let's say Yaeunda's affiliate, Yaeunda spaces were token gated with you had to have an affiliate badge to be able to get into the space. Yaeunda could probably talk a bit more freely and drop more alpha because she knows all the people in the space are actually truly invested into her entity or organization on the blockchain. So with that being said, I'm going to start helping communities off-ramp their communities from Twitter to their very own social networks, because in those social networks, they'll be able to reward people for educating themselves. They'll be able to reward people for community efforts. Again, the social network has the crowdfunding feature built as well. So if there's someone that needs to raise money for a personal thing in the community, let's say there's someone that's sick, medical issues, we in the Web3 space should be able to do such in a decentralized manner, and also do such in a safe way where that person doesn't feel like they're going to be shunned or clowned or made fun of for needing financial assistance, for example, for medicine or something.
Hey, B Dot, that's a community, right? And I love. Listen, B Dot is my dude, and I absolutely love you, B Dot, because you're doing it for the people, and it's a selfless act. And I hear your passion, I hear your love, I hear your focus. I'm so honored to have you a part of the Genius Room and community, just because, like, dude, you're incredible. And you're just going and going. You like the Energizer Bunny. And folks, and the Energizer Bunny, y'all, is from the 80s and 90s. I recognize I'm a little older, right? And that bunny used to just go and go and go and didn't stop. I think the Energizer Bunny might have cleared the whole world at one point because it just kept going. And that's what, no, I want to say that to you, B. Dot. I want to say that you're building something for the future. Safety, we're talking about trust, right? And we're talking through technology, but we're talking about doing your own research and maintain your safety while doing your own research? How do you maintain your safety when you're elevating your voice? Like I spent time on the platform, you talked about it, off ramping your community into another ecosystem like Zentarius. Zentarius is our place that we gather as an ecosystem, as a community, right? And I love what Ryan and I and Web3 Grandpapa and the rest of the geniuses and us, we've been at this, y'all, for a year and a half, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You heard me that talk about this is what y'all need, this is what you need, and this is why you need it, because I've been in here since 2017 and I'm telling y'all, this is some alpha. Oh, alpha is that information that folks don't give willingly. And again, I want to talk to y'all about ISO 20022, right? And that's really around your banking. Y'all better understand banks and business, CBDC, centralized banking. I need y'all to also understand that decentralization and blockchain, right? And educate yourself on the blockchains. Who am I going to recommend on blockchain, right? So, I can't tell y'all my recommendations per se, Aslan, but I can just tell y'all a little bit of BD about, I've been watching Bitcoin a little bit and looking at Ethereum a little bit, and then starting to understand this PayPay. I want to get into half of these coins and tokens, right? But doing my own due diligence, it's like, to your point, Beta, it takes a team, Phantom. It takes a team to be able to kind of look at that. I don't have time. So, I really don't have that time. I need to be able to rely on, I can go in the back channels and know I can hit Hannibal and the Wildcat Alliance, and I can talk to Aslan and them, and BD. I can talk B-Dot. I can talk to you. I can talk to Hector. And we can unpack this stuff really quick. And Mr. G, he's like, no, Yaeunda, look at the charts here. This is what it says. This is the education around it. We need to onboard the kids. The kids need to know this right now, y'all. We need to get the parents too. Y'all, do y'all see all this that's happening? This is iron sharpens iron. And this is the genius room. Part of being a part of a network, part of being a part of a community is knowing that everybody has their swim lanes and how we swim together. I'm so proud of y'all, genius. B-Dot, you mic drop, whole mic drop, but I ain't done with you yet, B-Dot. I want to go back over to Phantom. Then I'm going to engage with Stu a little bit, and then we're going to talk to our new friend, Kronk. Okay, so Phantom, you had your hand up earlier. Phantom, how are you?
Yeah, thank you. And I mean, I'm just a little bit stuck because B-Dot just has been dropping those alphas, right? Those are just hot takes that one after the other. He just didn't problems. I have the solutions for them, right? But I feel what happens here, and I think this happens a lot with developers, right? I feel we develop flexibility is there in your platform. I think ultimately decides how people will come and adopt it. I was reading about why a lot of people don't migrate to Mastodon or Blue Sky or other social media, and I just think we are already feeling that burn of missing out on the larger community, or I don't know, maybe it's just the centralization is already prevalent in these platforms, right? So I do think that we are kind of stuck here for now, but I am kind of rethinking how we approach the space, because the other day I was talking about how we can create a radio show, and someone came, I don't know who it was, a Web3 radio, they had an idea, and it sounded great to me, right? The audio media reinvented, and then I was yeah, we have to do some level of journalism, right? Due diligence is on some level investigative thought, where we are saying, okay, I got the observation, but then how do I make it into intelligence, right? So I am definitely looking at knowledge management, open source intelligence, and, trying to get people the value for what they're providing. Because even their observation, their perspective, right, whatever it is, it can be providing value. So I can say, hey, here when you like
they make the value of your data. Tomorrow, if you come and like on my platform, you get the value, right? There is something called superspaces.ai that gives tokens of appreciation and maps out Polygon, Matic, or whatever it is, and it gives you in ETH, it gives you in Matic, and it incentivizes listening on spaces, right? So basically, it incentivizes user behavior. And I feel as developers, we need to understand that and channel that manipulation ethically, right? At the end of the day, like, people don't realize that, like, the thing that they're unleashing on the world, the necessary evil, will ultimately be used by someone else. So you have to securely release it, right? Like, you have to give that responsibility, that knowledge responsibility carefully. And that is why I think when you drop these alphas, great. But tomorrow, I don't know. Like, you're only giving away all these alphas, and someone might, figure out some of those things. So should we be having these spaces? I believe so, because this is just, and you're just giving the basics. But really getting into the nitty and gritty, yes, we should be tokenizing, we should be gatekeeping, and we should be teaching people with responsibility so that, when they use that power, they are sort of holding themselves accountable.
You're 100% right, and the reason why, one of the things you touch on is that we as a people, we as an age group and demographic, we may not ever, for example, I stopped using any social network. I didn't own it in 2018 because I saw what kind of data was being tossed around on the back end without our permission as a developer. But for me, I understand that there's a whole generation of kids that are growing up and Facebook or Meta is lame to them, Instagram is lame to them, TikTok is becoming lame to them. So what happens when they are in their 20s and crypto is mass adopted and they're really only rocking with their own communities, who they're breaking bread with, who uplifts them. We're going to have all these micro communities that are going to be adopting and having the ownership of their own technology. Your app, your data, your users. You're using your data. So great points, Phantom. I think that, as developers, sometimes we can over-engineer simple solutions. So what you're talking about the radio show, for example, the radio show for the Web3 space, I think we need to look at it as, okay, one thing Twitter is doing great right now is Twitter Spaces. So if we just simply organize the schedule and had a public list of a schedule, what space, at what time, what is it focus on that day. If we just had a schedule, a public running schedule of all these different spaces that exist, that in itself can be the radio network. We don't actually have to think about building anything blockchain-wise. We just have to organize and strategize. There's so many spaces that we just don't know about because they're outside of our following, they're outside of our echo chamber. But if we had a coalition, a DAO, for example, that organized the best of the best Twitter spaces and organized and got them all on the running schedule, where it's like a radio station where we knew, okay, Tuesday at 8 p.m., I'm going to get this person. Monday at 9 a.m., I'm going to get this person for this type of knowledge. And to make sure that those people, those companies, those entities that are involved are okay with them being recorded spaces, because there are a lot of people who can't tune into these spaces that are just live. A lot of people have lives, jobs, families, and so forth. So a lot of alpha is being dropped in live spaces that most people will never hear about from the echo chamber, and it may not even be the correct information they're hearing at that point in time. Because, I used to pass the game back when we were kids. You pass the secret along to somebody, then pass it to somebody else. By the time they reached the last person, along with 30 students in class, it was a whole different message than it originally was when the first person said it. So I just think we need to organize our strategy, organize the content that we're producing. Again, the educational platform I'm going to be releasing today, the courses they're all powered by AI. And the reason is we need to be able to offer as many courses to as many people as possible and allow this to potentially be the alternative to college, because the traditional schools are becoming less and less effective for people and been very ineffective for people like minorities for a long time now. But now you have people with different sexualities, different religious beliefs that are now finding that school is kind of a threat or danger to their public safety. So now we should begin thinking about decentralizing education, decentralizing finance. I think the banks are just so butthurt about.
B-Dot, you're going to give us the world right now. Hold on. He like, listen, we're going to tokenize the world right now, y'all. So we're going to categorize all the token there. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Hold up. beat out. We got to put people in these positions. Like, listen, the developers, listen. Oh my goodness, I could just see the cold running through my head right now. I'm like, oh, this is great, y'all. Because guess what? This is the genius room, and y'all heard like ready to go. Like, and part of this is understanding that what y'all just described is coming, right? So the affiliation program, the affiliate program, it's already out here and circulating here on Twitter, right? The ability to token gate your spaces is coming, y'all. Like literally, I was commenting on it yesterday. The ability to even add on. So I don't know how many of you all are a part of community notes, right? So being able to, I'm a because at this point, cite your source, cite your source, cite your source. And community notes, you can add on to people what they write, or you can cite other source to make that more reliable or add that content to it. So the sky's the limit. It's already happening. So if you didn't pay attention to and you didn't hear Saturday, I participated in a space with Adrian Dittman and Elon or somewhere like that, right? And I heard the what did I hear? What is it called? The Matrix 2.0. And when I heard that Matrix 2.0, that was significant to understanding. And then I heard something about conspiracy theory. I am because I was like, oh my goodness, this is good. So I don't know if y'all heard on Saturday, but pay attention to understanding where this platform is necessarily going. I support the decentralization. And as a matter of fact, do y'all see like the whole X-Men? So are we X-Men or X-Women now? Did y'all see that the X is now sitting on top of in San Francisco? He's going like literally, he's Batman. He gonna save San Francisco. This gets good. Now, how many X's go on the building, right? But in addition to that, it's the X is doing Morse code. So they say it's signaling. I was like, oh my God, this is getting good. Oh, I'm the only person that kept up with this weekend. Oh, okay. I guess I.
Unfortunately, you're the only one. But thank you for informing us. You know, that's always the best thing about this. You sharing your experience with us. And if we didn't experience it, now we got to experience it with you. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. So I've also retweeted, tweeted, and also you can follow. But yeah, the platform is changing very quickly. So to your point, how much money can you make on Twitter, right? Oh, wait a minute. Yaeunda, you don't do your own research. Wait a minute. You're doing your own research. Stop it, Yaeunda. Okay. So in doing your own research, look at all the ways that you're going to be able to monetize. And literally, this is the time where rating becomes very profitable. Space rating, and just imagine space rating as a community, right? Aslan, hi I'm sorry, hold on, Stu. I know you're here, but it's Stu 1000. Hold on, Stu. I'm gonna get to you. I know who you are. Aslan, what do you think?
I think this is a great topic, doing your own research. The only thing I think is it's really hard to do your own research when this whole entire space is ran off of a social engineer. But that's just kind of what this space has become is how are you going to get people that don't even like NFTs right now from everything to like them? And we all have to kind of do this whole social engineer thing. And it's really hard to do your research when you're being socially engineered. And unfortunately, you guys have to do it, right? So it is a space to navigate in because you end up doing your own research, and that research leads you to the VC narrative always. So what is doing your own research really? Because you got to be a social engineer to even know what to look into. So it's just a tough space right now. And the only thing I can say when it comes to doing your own research is look for the people who have been around and have a good name for themselves, right? A good reputation. Because right now we are being ran by the best social engineers in the entire world because most of the best social engineers in the entire world are hackers and they know where to go. So yeah, I mean, this is a great topic, and I'm glad that we're digging in deep to this because we have to understand what's happening with our data, what's happening with our money,
what's happening with our narrative. And being in rooms like this is going to expose the truth and know where to look. And we got some amazing people in here every single morning. I come here every morning because I need to make sure I know where my narrative is at. So yeah, this is a very important topic. I'm super excited about what Musk is doing. Like, if I wanted any modern Batman, it's definitely going to be Musk. I'm watching him, and I guess he came into the Twitter space, and him and Adrian had a moment where they both were talking to each other, and it was like a oh shit moment, and it ended up being like published in I believe it was like the Wall Street Journal or something like that. But either way, like it was pretty awesome to see that happen. But yeah, like I said, do your own research, but now
Smart.
with the thought that you're gonna have to do it around the narrative, right? So whenever I think about anything, I think like an AI, right? And I'll tell you what, I do really well on the stock market because I literally think like an AI. So if you're in this space, you need to think like someone's trying to screw you all the time. And I'm sorry I have to say that, but at some point, like this will change, I hope, and it'll be a little bit more safe, and we'll be a little bit more knowledgeable. But yeah, it's you got to expect it. By failing to prepare, you're preparing to fail. But luck does favor the prepared. So I'll land it on that. Love y'all, and yeah, I'm willing to engage all morning.
Love you as well, Aslan. And really those level of conversations and alpha taking place is so important, you all. And it's a difficult conversation to have. But guess what? Do y'all understand that we're having the conversation? So we're now kind of talking through the narrative. Wait a minute, we might be even standardizing. Wait a minute, what we're talking about. Literally, we're saying these are the steps in which you need to take in order to at least quasi maintain safety, especially in social engineering. You have to do these. Oh my goodness. Y'all see what we did today, geniuses? And it's all recorded, right? And we own that. So, wow, how nice is that? We own that with Elon at least because it's our data. I'm just saying, trust. Awesome. There's Stu 1000. Hey, Stu 1000.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Going good, friend. How you been?
I've been good. I've been listening to the space that y'all come in here every morning. Sometimes it's harder than others, but yeah, sometimes I get a chance to come up, sometimes I don't. But yeah, I've been appreciating the conversation. I know I wanted to just jump in and just give my 2 cents on the topic in terms of like doing your research. And I feel like, there's one thing in the space that you can't like avoid, and that's like time and experience, like coming into the space. Just in terms of like a lot of new investors that may be coming in. Let's say when the bull market does come back, whenever it does, like a lot of people are going to be exit liquidity for people that's in now, been kind of scheming, plotting, and got plans together and stuff. And then the people that come in and trying to get quick money, they don't know what happened. And that was me. There like the last cycle. I got in relatively. I was accumulating, but I didn't strategic plan in terms of that. And just going into the topic specifically of doing your own research, I feel like it just levels to the research. Because the way I researched when I first got in, I've been in space for a little over 2 years. But the way I researched when I first got in is not the way I research now. And then also being able to like pivot with your research in terms of like what you look for. What I look for in my research is not the same thing I looked at my research like 6 months ago. Like certain things I value, certain things that's like different. Is the community active? Are they consistent? Are they continuing to engage? Like different fundamentals, like and different things, activity levels. Just having that mentality, just because like in different projects that I'm in, or metaverses, or just whatever you're supporting, like I feel like there should be like 2 basic questions in terms of what you deem that somebody's going to present, because I see all this as Shark Tank on steroids in terms of somebody has a product or service they want to present and how they're going to better benefit the space and that particular chain. I feel like there's 2 questions I want to know just off gate in terms of just like, 1, what is your product or service, and then 2, how are you going to help, like how is your idea going to help build Web3 to our ultimate goal, which is trying to get to like mainstream like adoption.
So, and then also just having plans and what you're looking for specifically to get out of it. Like, are you looking for network? Are you looking for some type of mini service? You're looking for some trackers, analytics, finance, DeFi. Like, what are you looking for? And I feel like you got to kind of start there and then be open to change as far as that might pivot, because the space pivots and you got to kind of, especially if it's a certain thing where, you know, depending on what type of investor you are a holder, you a trader, you a flipper, you know, it's just a lot of different like narratives, because the narrative does change. Because then it was like inscriptions was hot for a while, then meme coins dominated. But if you don't have an ability to like shift and pivot, it'd be really hard for you to kind of jump on these opportunities, and that's fine. It's not every opportunity is not meant for everybody. But I'm just saying, just be open to pivot and change along and grow along with like the chain that you're in or whatever particular project or metaverse, and being able to like, you know, just be open to that, because that's what's going to allow you to do more research. And then also, too, you know, being able to, like, network like we're doing in here, just because I can't know everything and I can't be everywhere. That's impossible. So, you know, coming into conversations like this, like, really listen. And, like, even if you have to go back, because I know I was listening to B-Dot, and honestly, you did say a lot and everything. And I'm personally going to go back into the recording, and I'm going to go back and listen to certain spots even before I came in. Just because I really want to have a good, like, understanding. I think a lot of people in this space is just like, sometimes it's just like, all right, we want to get excited, but we don't even know what we're getting excited about. That's being an uninformed investor. You want to be more seasoned as you go along into the space. But that's just my 2 cents.
Woo, Stu so fresh came in here, like fresh is so clean. Y'all should see me. Oh my goodness, I forgot I got my camera on. But anyway, you're like fresh is so clean. Stu came in here and dropped it. Like literally, this is my recipe for success. This is what it looks like. And then we get excited. And what you excited for? Break down, genius, what you excited for. Literally, you all understanding there was so much alpha dropped. I'm like, ooh, tokenization. Understand tokenization in real estate, tokenization in real assets, token understanding institutional investors, understanding retail investors, understanding, right? Understanding the genius room. I'm a non-techie tech, Yomi. Like, what do you think so far, Yomi? What's your thoughts running through your head?
It was like listening to an audio movie for me. I was sitting there envisioning all this stuff they were saying, and then Stu came in, and that right there, I think that's the thing that gets me with the flipping and being able to pivot, because yeah, this is a troublesome space for me. But as I was like, okay, you got to follow, you got to pay attention to who's been in this space, how long they've been in this space, what are they about, what are they doing. And, you know, those shiny objects can get you. And if you're not exactly sure what to look for underneath the shiny object, so yeah, what Stu said in regards to, you have to know, what are you a hoarder, are you a flipper, are you, dude, I don't know. I'll be flipping sometimes. I'm not sure what I want to be. So that is, it's not even being sure how to grab this in this space, like for real. Knowing that this is the next step, knowing this is the way you need to be, where you need to be, but not exactly sure knowing how to be where you need to be. I don't even know if that sounds right, but that's what it feels like.
It is, Yomi, and you know what? Like, so pay attention, y'all. So if you think about it, over a year ago, for most of y'all that have been on this journey, over a year ago, I talked to y'all, and it was August sometime, and I started complaining about Stripe. Right, Stripe is in my account, and I'm token gating. I've been token gating for over a year and a half, like, and I'm token gating. I'm working with Stripe and taking this down, and so now, oh, I noticed that in order to pay for your Twitter Blue. Oh, Stripe now. Okay. Now I notice under the monetization tab, you in order to get paid, you're gonna need a Stripe account. Did you? So, Yomi, it all like there's so much information coming at us, right? So, but some of those we got to grab and we got to put in play. because it's going to lead to other things. Stripe would be one of those things, geniuses, if you don't have one and you want to, if you don't have a Stripe account. I think I'm an affiliate, but I'm not sharing my affiliate link with y'all. I can if y'all want, but I know that you're going to need a Stripe account if you plan on monetizing anything here on Twitter platform. Okay. So how do you get those accounts, right? Yeah, there's levels to it. There's what kind of account you want, levels to it. All right. Because essentially you may become a freelance or independent business right here on Twitter. So how do they compensate you? And some of you might have your wallets and you might want your crypto or your however you just pay attention to the different payment options here. Yomi, it all makes sense. Like, yeah, it makes a whole lot of sense because there's so much there. Phantom. And by the way, y'all, I want to, we're start the wind up. I'm sorry, I'm a little late. We're supposed to close at 8. I do apologize. Y'all see when the geniuses get in the room. Yeah, we're in 2 minutes. We'll start the bonus hour and bonus time. I don't know if y'all want bonus time today, but certainly it's over at 8 o'clock. So any final thoughts? But this has been fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Phantom. Phantom. Stu.
Can you guys hear Yaeunda? I cannot hear her.
Yeah, I can hear it. Everybody hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you too. Can you hear us, Phantom? Okay, he may not be able to hear us.
Okay. Go ahead, Stu. Go ahead and drop it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but yeah, this is a whole conversation. I definitely just appreciate this whole conversation because like as you just begin to like do your own research, even for the things you're looking to research, it will also open up, different opportunities or whatever. Just because like if somebody was really on that type of time, they could really come up with a whole freelance scheme, kind of like a Fiverr base to where they'd have a database of developers, coders, and a lot of things, different things, and then they could, extract money by just referencing or just like being like an affiliate for like a lot of these services. That if you understand or just know the language of whatever chain that you're coding on, they be like, okay, if you need a meme coin, I know somebody that can do that. I got you. Or whatever you need this done, I know somebody that can do that. I got you. Like create a whole business model just around freelance and Fiverr. If you was just on that type of time with just doing your own research in general, so naturally this space is so new and the canvas is so blank that you'll be able to come up and you'll be able to find so many different opportunities within just that simple concept of doing your own research and find things that necessarily you wasn't looking for to begin with, but it kind of expands your mind and be like, oh shit, I could do this, and this. I can make money in this space like 10 different ways. And sometimes there's so much ways to make money in this space, I can't personally keep up. I mean, if I could do every single thing I thought of as far as a money making strategy, like I would be busy every single part of the day. But I try to put as much as I can to this because it is not always going to be like this. Eventually more people are going to come in, and there's going to be new tech. But it's just like being able to jump on Twitter Spaces or different things. Like a lot of this stuff is just not in motion, not put in place. So even with doing your own research, you'll still find opportunities that you did not see or realize before. And then it'll open your mindset up to just new opportunities, and then you'll go research that. So then that's how the spiral effect takes, at least for me. It's just like, damn, I can do this and this, so I go research it. Now it's just like I'm in here every day, I'm growing, I'm learning, I'm hungry to like be able to figure out what's the next step for me to take or whatever. It's just like this space, I can't get enough of it, honestly. Hey, just a little what Stu said real quick. So Stu, my primary business, the Blueprint.app, is actually basically it seeks to replace companies like Fiverr because a lot of times Fiverr doesn't properly fit out their talent. So I have a lot of my clients that come to me after getting screwed over on platforms like Fiverr. And one of the things I also, to touch on what you said about people being able to create businesses off of being the bridge and being the connector and being the person that did due diligence for someone else, I encourage that about the last 10 years, all of my clientele, it's like, once you found me, once you found this gem, If you know that, for example, it's going to cost $10,000 to implement something, if your client, your connection was planning on spending 25, go ahead and make 10 off of it and save them 5. You know, at the end of the day, that's how I operate with goals. So I like that you're thinking like that, because we also, with the blueprint, we have an affiliate program where anybody who connects anybody to us to get technology created, they automatically get 20% of the total order value. So we seek to empower people by the means of them connecting people with the ability to pursue their dreams and execute at a high level, because those same people, for example, can also raise money or create a token to raise money for that project. Guess who's going to be the first person to know that they're deploying a token to buying early? You, because you're the person that bridged them to the technology and bridged them to the platform that helps them raise the funds for their ecosystem. So thank you, Stu, for thinking the way you're thinking. You're sharp.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, definitely. I had to get at you, cause like I said, like some of the stuff you say, I'll be following you, and then you be just, it's like you do a crossover. I'm just like, what? Like, but yeah, I got you, man. Like, definitely, man. I'll be definitely getting at you.
We blame that on autism.
But that's great. That's great, and I'm loving our conversation. Listen, we can go all day. Stu, your words were so impactful. Absolutely, we can't get enough. And as geniuses, when we get together, you hear the clinking and the clanking and the iron, and we're identifying a value that we provide to the world, right? So we take on these topics that we should be talking about, and what do they look like, and we shape them, we form them, and the community says, this is my swim lane. Stu, I love being a plug, right? I actually like to be considered the money woman, right? So how can I connect people and resources, right? People and resources. That's a great position to be in. And there's a whole swim lane. There's a whole trajectory for that role. Stu, so holla at me. Let's talk through that piece. As a coach, that's what I do. As a mentor, that's what I do. You have these pillars of income that you can put in place in your business. Affiliate marketing is nothing different. I want to head over to Mr. G for a moment. Mr. G.
Wow, what an amazing conversation. I love it. I mean, the alpha being dropped here. If you're looking to pivot, because I love that term, looking to pivot, you really have to have a foundation so you understand where your money's going, what you're doing with it. And just real briefly, I mean, it was just about 2 years ago that I was deep into crypto, and my younger son wanted to get the newest PlayStation that was, $1,000, $1,100.